Welcome to the Steve and Bobby Show. My name is Steve Williams. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This is our 39th show. I appreciate all those that are continuous to watch us on this Mad Talk TV show here in the central part of Fresno, California. Really, I appreciate it. If you've been following us we've been doing this, for a few months now, but almost a year feels like. So we've been moving. So I appreciate everybody sticking with us. So let me talk about, in this first segment, what I'm going to do here in segment one. I kind of want to discuss some of the things that you may have missed, okay? Because I kind of like having these things, because sometimes what I find out when I do these segments is I get into the weeds on some of this stuff, and we kind of leave some other stuff out. So I kind of want to discuss some of the important and other stuff that's going on besides impeachment. But there's other stuff that's going on in the United States, big stuff, judgments and stuff like that. So the first thing I want to talk about, and we did a segment about this a while back, pertaining to the United States friendship and its closeness to one of its most closest allies in the Arab region, which is Israel. Israel is a huge U.S. ally. We give in the upwards of about $3.5 billion to Israel every single year in military and financial aid. So what are we getting in return? Supposedly what we get in return in dealing with Israel is the fact that they supply us with some intelligence. Excuse me. So let's get down to the fact of why so many U.S. politicians believe that Israel is such an ally of the United States. Because almost every politician sides with Israel in almost everything. But what we have noticed recently is that there has been a slightly different opinion that has been coming out in U.S. politics. And nothing is more evident than that than Senator Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, who is Jewish himself, is not a big proponent of Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, who just recently lost his prime ministership in Israel. And I want to show you what Bernie Sanders is saying that is critical to Israel and is a little bit different. So, and this is, again, like I say, this is, if you've missed it, because I think it's kind of important and it kind of gets flown over because of all the impeachment hearings. But listen to what Bernie Sanders, very carefully, listen to what Bernie Sanders is saying. That way you can kind of understand what I'm going to get at after this. Check it, listen.
The Palestinian people have a right to live in peace and security as well. And it is not, let me underline this because it will be misunderstood. It is not anti-Semitism to say that the Netanyahu government has been racist. That's a fact. That is a fact. So what I believe, Tommy, at a time when we spend, I think it's $3.8 billion on military aid to Israel, we have a right to say to the Israeli government that the United States of America and our taxpayers and our people believe in human rights. We believe in democracy. We will not accept authoritarianism or racism, and we demand that the Israeli government sit down with the Palestinian people and negotiate an agreement that works for all parties.
By the way, that's Bernie Sanders, who is Jewish himself, at the J Street PAC, the J Street PAC, which is, by the way, a Jewish organization. So it's kind of interesting to see that movement. If you didn't see that, that happened actually on Monday. And that's one of those things that if you missed it, it's kind of important that you stay tuned to that, because you're going to start seeing some of these candidates move away from Benjamin Netanyahu because of the seriousness of some of the things that he aligned himself with during his reelection or his attempt of reelection in siding with some racial groups. Same thing that Trump is being accused for as well. So let's move on. Let's talk about Donald Trump's $16.8 million in campaign funds that have been somehow dwindling into his properties and some of Donald Trump's companies. What's funny about this is the fact that, the United States has this thing called emolument clause, right? That's for anybody that cannot be using any business or any favors to any company or corporation, to any politician within the government. Okay, Donald Trump is just sitting on all the emolument clauses, and he just really doesn't care. Take a look at this video that ProPublica, which is a nonpartisan group, produced in reference to some of the spending that's been going on with Donald Trump and his campaign. Take a look.
How much we know so far that taxpayers, political committees, and the president's own campaigns have paid to use Trump resorts, golf courses, hotels, and aircraft since he announced his candidacy in 2015. Here's all of that money, separated into little boxes. Each box represents a single expenditure. The bigger the box, the more money was spent. The orange boxes represent money paid to Donald Trump's properties by the Trump presidential campaign, like this one from November 23rd, 2016. The teal boxes are other political committees, like the Republican National Committee, like this one, July 19th, 2017. And the dark gray boxes represent the money paid to the president's private businesses by government agencies, aka you, the taxpayer. Like this one, May 31st, 2017.
That's absolutely amazing. $16.7 odd million going into Donald Trump properties, hotels, and aircraft. I find that absolutely fascinating because I think any other politician, no matter who that politician is, if they were doing something like that, people would literally lose their gosh darn mind. There's a lot of incidences where that is a bigger issue than others, but because Donald Trump is in all this mess and all this stuff that's going on, people tend to be having a blind eye to that. So let's move on to that, because I that's another thing that if you miss, that's about where we're at on that 16 point odd some million dollars on into Trump property. So let's talk about some of the fires that's been going on here in California, just in case you've missed it. California actually has two major fires. There's the Getty fire, and then there's a fire in Sonoma, and there's another one that actually broke out in the Los Angeles area that are tearing up. I mean, just ravaging through the state, or through the southern part of the state. The one in Northern California actually caused power outages. PG&E purposely, PG&E, which is a Pacific Gas and Electric, which is a local utility company. Well, not local, it's a state utility company here in California, has shut down millions of electricity all throughout the state, as well as here where we're at in Fresno, California. So I kind of want to take you, for you to take a look at, I have a video of an individual, I think he was going through the 405, but take a look at the way this is going. It's crazy. Check this out.
On this block alone, several homes incinerated in minutes. A miracle, say firefighters. Everyone got out alive.
Just looks like the sky is burning. So I was full-blown panic.
Erupting near the famed Getty Center, the Getty fire threatened much of West LA, forcing 20,000 people from their homes, including in this exclusive community of Brentwood.
We're going to need a lot more agents in here if we're going to protect this community.
With multi-million-dollar homes nestled in these hills, the inferno spread as many were sleeping.
Wow, this is probably the last time I'm going to see this neighborhood.
Investigators are looking at electrical equipment as a potential cause for the blaze, which spread to the edge of the 405, creating chaos and gridlock on the nation's busiest interstate.
Oh my gosh.
With 10,000 homes threatened, among those forced to evacuate, NBA superstar LeBron James, actress Kate Hudson, and former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Absolutely insane, the junk that's going on there. And I mean, and like that was the fire in LA, but there's one in Sonoma and Napa Valley that's just as bad, tearing up, ravaging these $1 $2 million, $4 million an acre areas where they grow wine. Sonoma, California is a big wine industry out there. And I mean, the fire is just ravaging through all that. That's absolutely insane. Poor people that are losing. So far, no, there hasn't been any major reports of death. I think there's been 2 or 3 that's been related to these fires, but no like major deaths like there was last year, where in one town alone we lost 30-some people. So, that's shout out to the fire department and local responders for that. Good job to those guys. So I want to move on. I want to talk about some other things that you may have missed. And this one is probably the biggest. If Okay, so if y'all don't understand of what's going on here, the Republican Party has been making this effort to try to overrule Roe versus Wade. It's been a big effort in trying to do that. So what they're trying to do basically is try to overturn Roe versus Wade. This is their big thing, especially the evangelical Christians of the South have been doing this. This has been their movement since the 60s when they did what was called the Southern Strategy and switched parties and moved over to the South. One of the major issues was abortion. So what the Republican Party has been doing is have been filling a lot of these seats. I've been telling you guys about the judges, and how important these judges are and how it is important that we get out to vote in these local races. Just like a friend of mine, Bob Leatu, who's running here in District 22. You got to vote for guys that are going to support legislation that will push or support ideas that you may have. That way they can support legislation that you believe in. Republicans are doing this, and they're very good at this. This is one thing Democrats are not good at, is moving and getting together into these local races. Because what happens is when you don't have the people in place who elect and put these judges in some of these districts and jurisdictions, what happens is you get these crazy rulings. Luckily, in Alabama, which is the 11th District Court, actually overturned a decision that the Alabama abortion law, which was called the Human Life Protection Act that they're trying to pass, where it was basically making it illegal for abortions in the state of Alabama. It was actually blocked by a local judge there. Seems as though it's going to be going to the Supreme Court. Take a look at this video so you understand what I'm talking about.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Committee amendment is tabled. Senator Chambliss.
There was no motion. There was no motion.
There was a motion. He made a motion.
He didn't even make a motion, Mr. President.
Hold on, excuse me.
He did not make a motion.
He made a motion to table.
He did not make a motion. There was no motion from the other side.
He made a motion to table.
Senator. Heck no. He didn't even make a motion. He did not make a motion.
He made a motion to table.
What was the motion made?
The motion.
No motion was made. You just
excuse me. Senator Chambliss, you're recognized.
I don't care what the chair is about.
Thank you, Mr.
He did
President.
not make a motion.
In response to the number of abortions that have been performed this year versus the rape and incest,
Mr. President.
He did not make a motion.
There are 325,000 abortions that have been performed this year.
I have a point of order.
And a little over 3,000.
Right. State your point of order.
You know, I know you all are for this bill, and I know this bill is going to pass. You're going to get your way, but at least treat us fairly and do it the right way. So if there has been a motion made, we would like to have a roll call vote on that motion.
So, Senator Figures, we're moving on. There was a motion made to table. It's not debatable. There was not 3 hands raised. And we're moving on. Senator Chambliss, thank you for your
point of order.
I'm very disappointed.
So what you saw there was the Alabama legislation that was going to war over the fact of passing a rule on this Alabama law that actually got overturned by the local jurisdiction courts. Anyway, that's my phone, unfortunately. Oh, my goodness. Oh, let me turn this off. We have mistakes sometimes. But anyway, that's why it's important to put judges in place, putting people in place, putting professionals in place, putting people that believe, whether what party they're in your belief system. That way they can put judges in place to block crazy and insane laws like Alabama was trying to do. So it's important that we do that. It's important that we fight in the trenches in order to make things like that so laws that were passed in Alabama doesn't proceed and carry on. Okay, anyway, I appreciate you guys. This is Section 1 of the Steve and Bobby Show. I appreciate you for watching. Make sure that you stay tuned for Section 2. I'll see you guys on the other side.